The Forbidden Fleet Emergency. Orders Captain Sarah Chen stood in the command center of Titan Station, staring at the holographic message that had just arrived from Earth Command. The blue light cast strange shadows across her weathered face as she read the orders for the third time. After 15 years of mining operations in the outer system, she was being reassigned to something called the Galactic Defense Summit. The message was brief, classified, and completely unexpected. "Ma'am, the transport ship Aurora is requesting permission to dock," announced Lieutenant Rodriguez from the communications station. Sarah nodded absently, her mind still processing the implications of her new assignment. She had spent most of her career managing mining operations, turning asteroids into useful materials for Earth's expanding colonies. Military strategy was not her area of expertise. The docking bay of Titan Station hummed with activity as Sarah made her way toward the Aurora. The station itself was a marvel of human engineering, built inside a hollowed-out asteroid and equipped with the most advanced mining equipment humanity had ever created. Massive drilling platforms, fusion cutters, and gravitational manipulators filled the industrial sections. To Sarah, it was home. To others, it might have looked like a weapons factory. Engineer Marcus Torres met her at the airlock, his uniform still bearing traces of metal dust from his latest project. "Captain, I've been running diagnostics on our equipment like you requested. Everything's operating at peak efficiency. The new fusion cutters can slice through titanium like butter, and the gravitational manipulators can move objects weighing millions of tons." He paused, studying her expression. "Are you sure about this reassignment? The crew needs you here." Sarah shouldered her travel bag and looked back at the bustling station. "Orders are orders, Marcus. Keep everything running smoothly while I'm gone, and maintain radio silence about our capabilities. Something tells me this summit isn't going to be as routine as Earth Command suggests." Journey to the unknown, the Aurora was a sleek diplomatic vessel, nothing like the rugged industrial ships Sarah was used to commanding. As they traveled through hyperspace toward the summit location, she studied the classified briefings that had been loaded onto her personal tablet. The Galactic Defense Alliance was apparently a coalition of alien species that had been fighting something called the Void Swarm for over 40 years, Dr. Elena Vasquez. The ship's xenobiologist joined Sarah in the observation lounge as they dropped out of hyperspace. Through the viewport, they could see their destination, a massive space station that looked like a crystal flower floating in the void. Ships of various alien designs surrounded it, their hulls glowing with exotic energy signatures. "Fascinating," Dr. Vasquez murmured, adjusting her instruments. "The energy readings from those ships are incredible. Their technology operates on completely different principles than ours. Some appear to be powered by controlled singularities, others by exotic matter reactions. It's like nothing we've ever encountered." Sarah watched as their ship approached the docking bay. The alien vessels were elegant and graceful, their designs speaking of millennia of technological refinement. Compared to Earth's utilitarian industrial ships, they looked like works of art. "How do they stack up against our equipment in terms of raw power output?" Dr. Vasquez frowned at her readings. "That's the strange part, Captain. Their technology is far more sophisticated than ours, but the actual power levels are much lower. Our mining equipment generates more energy in an hour than some of those ships produce in a day. I don't understand how they've maintained a 40-year war against any serious threat." The docking procedure was smooth and efficient. As Sarah disembarked, she was greeted by 2 alien beings who seemed to be expecting her. The first was a tall, insectoid creature with multiple arms and compound eyes that gleamed with intelligence. The second appeared to be made of pure energy, its form shifting and flowing like liquid light. Captain Chen, the insectoid, being said through a translation device attached to its chest. I am Admiral Crix of the Nexus Defense Fleet. This is Commander Vel of the Ethereal Collective. We have been eager to meet with Earth's military representative. Sarah extended her hand in greeting, noting how both aliens seemed surprised by the gesture. Thank you for having me. I have to admit, I'm not sure why I was chosen for this assignment. I'm primarily an industrial engineer, not a military strategist. Commander Vel's energy form pulsed with what might have been amusement. Your modesty is refreshing, Captain. We have studied Earth's recent expansion into your outer system. Your species has accomplished remarkable feats of engineering in a very short time. We hope to learn from your methods. The galactic situation, the briefing room was a marvel of alien architecture, with surfaces that seemed to shift and adapt to accommodate different species. Sarah found herself seated between Admiral Crix and Commander Vel, facing a holographic display that showed the current state of the galaxy. Large sections of the map were marked in red, indicating territories controlled by the Void Swarm. The situation is dire, Admiral Crix explained, his multiple arms gesturing at the display. The Void Swarm has been expanding for 4 decades, consuming entire star systems. They are not a species in the traditional sense, but rather a collective of mechanical entities that convert matter into more of themselves. Every ship they destroy, every planet they consume, makes them stronger. Commander Vel added, We have fought them to a standstill, but we cannot push them back. Their technology adapts to our weapons, and their numbers seem endless. We need new strategies, new approaches to combat. This is why we have invited humanity to join the Galactic Defense Alliance. Sarah studied the tactical displays with growing concern. The alien fleets were impressive, but she could see the problem immediately. Their ships were designed for precision combat, elegant duels between sophisticated opponents. The Void Swarm, on the other hand, seemed to fight like a natural disaster, overwhelming their enemies through sheer destructive force. What kind of support are you looking for from Earth? Sarah asked. Our space fleet is still relatively small, and most of our ships are designed for industrial purposes. Admiral Crix's compound eyes focused on her intently. We understand that humanity is new to interstellar travel, but your species has a reputation for innovation. We hope you can provide fresh perspectives on our strategic challenges. Perhaps your industrial ships could be adapted for support roles in our fleets. Dr. Vasquez, who had been quietly taking notes, looked up from her tablet. Admiral, could you show us some examples of your current weapons technology? It might help us understand how we could best contribute to your efforts. The holographic display shifted to show various alien weapon systems in action. Sarah watched with growing amazement as elegant energy beams carved through enemy ships with surgical precision. The technology was beautiful, but she could see immediately why the 40-year war had reached a stalemate. The alien weapons were designed to defeat other sophisticated opponents, not to deal with the crude but overwhelming force of the Void Swarm. These are impressive systems, Sarah said carefully, but I'm curious about your power generation capabilities. How much energy can your ships typically produce? Commander Vel's form flickered with what might have been pride. Our most advanced battleships can generate approximately 50 terawatts of power. The energy containment systems required such sophistication that only our most experienced engineers can maintain them. Sarah tried to keep her expression neutral, but she felt a chill run down her spine. 50 terawatts was less than half the output of a single mining laser on Titan Station. If this was the peak of galactic military technology, then Earth's industrial equipment was more powerful than she had ever imagined. The demonstration the next day, Admiral Crix arranged for a demonstration of current Alliance combat tactics. Sarah watched from the observation deck as sleek alien fighters engaged, simulated void swarm units in a carefully choreographed battle. The alien ships moved with grace and precision, their weapons creating beautiful patterns of light as they struck their targets. "Remarkable," Dr. Vasquez whispered. "Their technology is incredibly elegant. Look at how they coordinate their attacks, how efficiently they use their energy." Sarah nodded, but she was thinking about something else entirely. The simulated void swarm units were crude, bulky constructs that relied on armor and numbers rather than sophisticated technology. They reminded her of the massive asteroids she had spent years breaking apart in the outer system. The alien weapons, for all their elegance, were taking a long time to penetrate the enemy armor. "Admiral," she said during a break in the demonstration, "how long does it typically take your forces to disable a void swarm unit of this size?" Admiral Crix consulted his tactical display. Against a standard drone, approximately 15 minutes of concentrated fire from a 3-ship squadron. Larger units can take hours to destroy, which is why we focus on mobility and precision strikes. Sarah did some quick calculations in her head. A mining laser from Titan Station could cut through that much armor in less than 30 seconds. The fusion cutters could slice the drone in half in about 5 seconds. The gravitational manipulators could simply crush it instantly. Earth's industrial technology wasn't just more powerful than alien weapons. It was orders of magnitude more destructive. "Captain Chen," Commander Vell said, interrupting her thoughts, "we would be very interested to hear your assessment of our tactics. Your industrial background might provide valuable insights." Sarah chose her words carefully. "Your coordination is excellent, and your technology is clearly very advanced. Wondering, though, if there might be value in a more direct approach. Sometimes the best way to solve an engineering problem is with brute force rather than finesse." Admiral Crix's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Brute force has its place, but it must be applied intelligently. We have learned, over 4 decades, that the void swarm adapts to crude tactics very quickly. Only through sophisticated coordination can we hope to defeat them. Later that evening, Sarah found herself in her quarters, staring at a schematic of the mining equipment. Back on Titan Station. If she was reading the situation correctly, Earth's industrial fleet was not just capable of supporting the Alliance. It was potentially powerful enough to change the entire balance of the war. The question was whether revealing this information would be helpful or dangerous. The revelation the next morning brought an unexpected crisis. Alert klaxons sounded throughout the station as Admiral Crix's voice echoed through the communication system. "All personnel to battle stations. We have detected a void swarm scout force approaching the system. This is not a drill." Sarah rushed to the command center, where she found the alien officers coordinating their response with practiced efficiency. The tactical display showed a small fleet of void swarm units emerging from hyperspace, their crude sensors probing the system's defenses. "How long until they reach us?" Sarah asked. "Approximately 6 hours," Admiral Crix replied. "We have time to evacuate non-essential personnel and position our defensive fleets. The scout force appears to be relatively small, but we cannot take any chances." Sarah watched the tactical display with growing concern. The Alliance fleet was impressive, but she could see that it would take them hours to destroy the incoming threat. If this was just a scout force, what would happen when the main Void Swarm fleet arrived? "Admiral," she said suddenly, "I need to contact my ship. There might be something we can do to help." Commander Vel's energy form pulsed with curiosity. "Captain, your diplomatic vessel is not equipped for combat. We appreciate the offer, but this is a military matter." Sarah activated her communication device. "Aurora, this is Captain Chen. I need you to transmit a message to Titan Station immediately. Tell Engineer Torres to prepare the mining fleet for emergency deployment. Full power to all industrial systems." Admiral Crix's compound eyes focused on her with sudden intensity. "Captain, what are you planning? Your mining ships are not designed for combat." "Maybe not," Sarah replied, "but they're designed to break apart large objects quickly and efficiently. If your weapons can't penetrate Void Swarm armor fast enough, perhaps our industrial equipment can." The response from Titan Station came within minutes. Engineer Torres's voice crackled through the communication system. "Captain, the mining fleet is ready for deployment. We have 12 ships equipped with full-power fusion cutters and gravitational manipulators. The fusion cutters are operating at maximum efficiency, and the gravitational systems can handle objects up to 10 million tons." Admiral Crix and Commander Vel exchanged what might have been worried glances. "Captain Chen," Admiral Crix said slowly, "what exactly is the power output of your mining equipment?" Sarah hesitated, realizing that she was about to reveal information that could change everything. "Our fusion cutters operate at approximately 200 terawatts each. The gravitational manipulators use exotic matter reactions that generate significantly more power. We use them to move asteroids weighing millions of tons." The silence in the command center was deafening. Commander Vel's energy form flickered rapidly, while Admiral Crix's multiple arms trembled slightly. Dr. Vasquez, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward with her tablet. "Captain," she said softly, "I've been analyzing the energy signatures from the Alliance fleet. If your figures are correct, a single mining laser from Titan Station generates more power than their entire defensive fleet combined." The emergency vote, the implications of Sarah's revelation, spread through the Alliance. Command structure like wildfire. Within hours, emergency sessions were being called on every member world. The discovery that Earth's industrial technology was more powerful than 4 decades of galactic military development sent shockwaves through the entire Alliance. Admiral Crix paced nervously in his private office, his multiple arms gesturing. In agitation, "Commander Vel, we have a serious problem. If the humans can generate that much power with their mining equipment, what must their actual military technology be capable of?" Commander Vel's energy form had taken on a distinctly red tinge. "I have been analyzing their ship designs, Admiral. Their industrial vessels are built like weapons of war. Massive armor plating, redundant systems, power generation capabilities that exceed our most advanced battleships. They claim these are mining ships, but they could destroy our entire fleet without difficulty." Sarah found herself summoned to an emergency session of the Alliance Council. The chamber was filled with representatives from dozens of species, all of them looking at her with expressions ranging from curiosity to outright fear. The elegant architecture of the station seemed somehow more threatening now, as if the walls themselves were judging her. "Captain Chen," the council speaker began, "we have received troubling reports about Earth's industrial capabilities. We need to understand exactly what your species has developed." Sarah stood before the assembled representatives, feeling the weight of their scrutiny. Honored Council, Earth's technology was developed for peaceful purposes. We needed powerful tools to expand into our outer system, to break apart asteroids and build new colonies. Our equipment was never intended for military use. Intended or not, Admiral Crix interjected, your mining lasers could destroy our battleships in seconds. Your gravitational manipulators could crush our fleets like insects. How do we know that Earth's intentions will remain peaceful? Dr. Vasquez stepped forward. If I may address the Council, I believe there has been a fundamental misunderstanding. Earth's technology appears more powerful than yours because we developed it for different purposes. We needed to break apart massive objects in space, while you developed weapons to fight other sophisticated opponents. Our approaches are different, not necessarily superior. The Council speaker raised a hand for silence. Dr. Vasquez, the power differential speaks for itself. A species that can casually generate hundreds of terawatts for industrial purposes represents a level of technological capability that destabilizes the entire galactic balance. We must consider the implications for galactic security. The debate that followed was intense and often heated. Representatives from peaceful species argued that Earth's intentions seemed genuine, while military leaders from more aggressive civilizations demanded strict limitations on human expansion. Sarah found herself defending not just her own actions, but humanity's entire future in the galaxy. Honored Council, she said finally, we came here to help. The Void Swarm is a threat to all of us. Instead of fearing our technology, perhaps we should be working together to use it effectively. The Council speaker conferred with his advisors for several minutes before responding. Captain Chen, the Council appreciates Earth's offer of assistance. However, we cannot ignore the security implications of your technology. By emergency vote, the Alliance Council hereby prohibits the deployment of Earth's industrial fleet in combat operations. Your ships will be classified as restricted military assets, and their use in Alliance space will be strictly regulated. Sarah felt her heart sink. The very technology that could turn the tide of the war was being banned out of fear. Council Speaker, with respect, the Void Swarm Scout Force is still approaching. Our industrial fleet could eliminate the threat in minutes rather than hours. Isn't the immediate danger more important than theoretical concerns? The vote has been taken, Captain, the Council Speaker replied firmly. Earth's industrial fleet will not be deployed in Alliance space. We will handle the Void Swarm Scout Force using conventional methods. As Sarah left the Council chamber, she found herself facing an impossible choice. She could follow the Alliance decision and watch as their elegant but ineffective weapons struggled against the Void Swarm threat. Or she could defy the ban and risk making humanity enemies of the very species they had come to help. The mining fleet from Titan Station would arrive within hours, and she would have to decide whether to order them to stand down or to fight. Commander Vell approached her in the corridor, his energy form flickering with what might have been sympathy. Captain, I understand your frustration, but you must understand our position. Your technology is simply too powerful to ignore. We have seen what happens when one species gains a significant military advantage over others. Sarah stopped walking and turned to face him. Commander, that scout force is just the beginning. If we can't work together now, what happens when the main Void Swarm fleet arrives? Your elegant weapons and careful tactics won't be enough to stop them, perhaps, Commander Vell replied. But that is a risk we must take. The alternative is to place the entire galaxy at the mercy of a species whose mining equipment can destroy battleships. As Sarah watched the alien officer fade into the distance, she realized that the real battle was just beginning. The Void Swarm was still coming. The Alliance was crippled by fear of their own allies, and she had to choose between following orders and protecting the galaxy. The mining fleet from Titan Station was armed with the most powerful weapons in known space, and the decision of what to do with them rested entirely on her shoulders. Asterisk, the ultimate tester, Defiance Captain Sarah Chen, stood alone in her quarters. Aboard the Aurora, staring at the tactical display showing the approaching Void Swarm scout force. The mining fleet from Titan Station had arrived 6 hours ago and was holding position at the edge of the system, waiting for her orders. The Alliance fleet was already moving to intercept the enemy, their elegant ships forming precise formations that looked beautiful but would take hours to be effective. Her communication device chirped with an incoming message from Engineer Torres. "Captain, we're ready to engage on your command. The fusion cutters are charged, and the gravitational manipulators are online. Just give us the word, and we can end this threat in minutes." Sarah closed her eyes, feeling the weight of an impossible decision. The Alliance Council had explicitly banned Earth's industrial fleet from combat operations, but she could see the tactical situation unfolding on her displays. The Alliance ships were already taking heavy damage from the Void Swarm's crude but effective weapons. Admiral Crix's carefully coordinated squadrons were being overwhelmed by the enemy's relentless assault. "Captain," Dr. Vasquez's voice came through the intercom. "I'm reading massive energy spikes from the Void Swarm formation. They're adapting to the Alliance weapons even faster than expected. At this rate, the defensive fleet will be destroyed." Within 2 hours, Sarah made her decision. She opened a channel to the mining fleet. "Torres, this is Captain Chen. Deploy the mining fleet immediately. Full power to all industrial systems. We're going to end this quickly." "Understood, Captain. Beginning deployment now." The 12 ships of Earth's mining fleet moved with surprising grace for such massive industrial vessels. Each ship was over 1 kilometer long, bristling with equipment designed to break apart asteroids and process raw materials. To the Alliance observers, they looked like floating cities rather than warships. Admiral Crix's voice crackled through the communication system. "Captain Chen, you are violating direct orders from the Alliance Council. Stand down immediately." Sarah opened a channel to the entire Alliance fleet. "Admiral, with respect, I'm not going to watch your people die while we have the power to help them. My fleet will engage the Void Swarm scout force. We'll discuss the political implications later." Industrial warfare, the mining fleet approached the Void Swarm formation with methodical precision. Engineer Torres coordinated the attack from the lead vessel, Titan's Hammer, while Sarah watched from the Alliance command center. The industrial ships spread out in a loose formation, their massive hulls dwarfing the smaller Alliance vessels. "Fusion cutters ready," Torres reported. "Targeting the lead Void Swarm unit. Firing now." The fusion cutter beam that lanced out from Titan's Hammer was nothing like the elegant energy weapons of the Alliance fleet. It was a crude, brutally effective tool designed to slice through solid rock and metal. The beam struck the lead Void Swarm drone and cut it cleanly in half, the 2 pieces spinning apart in a shower of sparks and debris. The entire engagement lasted less than 30 seconds. The mining fleet's fusion cutters carved through the Void Swarm formation like a hot knife through butter. while the gravitational manipulators crushed the remaining drones into compact balls of twisted metal. What had been a serious threat to the Alliance fleet was reduced to floating scrap in moments. The silence that followed was deafening. Admiral Crix's compound eyes were wide with shock as he stared at the tactical display. Where moments before there had been a coordinated enemy formation, now there was only debris. "Impossible," Commander Vell whispered, his energy form flickering. With amazement, they destroyed the entire scout force in less than a minute. Our weapons would have needed hours to achieve the same result. Sarah opened a channel to the mining fleet. "Outstanding work, Torres. Any casualties or damage?" "Negative, Captain. All ships report green across the board. The Void Swarm units didn't even scratch our armor plating. These industrial hulls are built to survive asteroid impacts. Their weapons couldn't penetrate. Our defenses." Dr. Vasquez looked up from her instruments with a mixture of awe and concern. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy signatures from deeper in the system. The Void Swarm main fleet is responding to the destruction of their scouts. They're sending everything they have." The main force, the tactical display, updated to show the approaching Void Swarm main fleet, and Sarah felt her blood run cold. Hundreds of enemy ships were emerging from hyperspace, their crude but effective hulls bristling with weapons. This was not a scout force or a probing attack. This was a full-scale invasion meant to destroy the Alliance outpost and consume its resources. Asterisk. Admiral Crix activated the general alarm. "All ships, emergency deployment. We are facing a full Void Swarm battle fleet. This is not a drill." Sarah watched as the Alliance fleet scrambled to respond. Their ships were elegant and sophisticated, but they were outnumbered 20-1. Even working together, the combined fleets would be overwhelmed by the sheer mass of the enemy force. "Captain," Engineer Torres's voice came through the communication system. "We're detecting massive energy signatures from the main Void Swarm fleet. Some of those ships are the size of small moons. Our fusion cutters can handle them, but we're going to need a new approach." Sarah turned to Dr. Vasquez. "Doctor, what's your assessment of the enemy capabilities?" "The Void Swarm adapts quickly to threats," Dr. Vasquez replied, studying her instruments. "They've already begun modifying their hulls to resist energy. Weapons. If they encounter our fusion cutters, they'll adapt to those as well. We need to be unpredictable." Admiral Crix approached Sarah with obvious reluctance. "Captain Shen, I must formally protest your violation of Council orders. However, given the current situation, I am requesting your assistance. The Alliance fleet cannot handle this threat alone." Sarah nodded grimly. "Admiral, we're going to need to coordinate our efforts. Your weapons are precise and efficient. Ours are crude but powerful. If we work together, we might be able to exploit the Void Swarm's weaknesses." Commander Vell's energy form pulsed with sudden understanding. "Captain, the Void Swarm adapts to consistent threats. If we alternate between our sophisticated weapons and your industrial tools, they won't be able to develop effective countermeasures. Unlikely cooperation, the combined human and alien fleet moved to intercept the Void Swarm main force in a coordinated formation that would have been impossible just hours earlier. Sarah found herself working directly with Admiral Crix and Commander Vell. Their different approaches to warfare creating an unexpectedly effective strategy. Alliance, Squadron Alpha, engage the enemy vanguard with precision strikes. Admiral Crix commanded. Human industrial ships, stand by for follow-up attacks. Sarah watched as the Alliance vessels opened fire with their elegant energy weapons. carving precise holes in the void swarm formation. The enemy ships began to adapt, their hulls shifting and changing to resist the energy beams. Just as the Alliance weapons began to lose effectiveness, the mining fleet struck. Gravitational manipulators, full power, Torres commanded. Crush. Formations delta through gamma. The gravitational fields generated by the mining fleet reached out across space, seizing massive void swarm vessels and crushing them like tin cans. The enemy had no defense against this type of attack because they had never encountered anything like it before. Remarkable, Commander Vel observed, his energy form flickering with excitement. They cannot adapt to attacks they do not understand. Your gravitational technology operates on principles completely foreign to their experience. The battle continued for hours, with the combined fleet using alternating tactics to keep the void swarm off balance. Alliance ships would strike with precision weapons, forcing the enemy to adapt. Then human industrial vessels would attack with completely different methods, negating the adaptations. It was a deadly dance of technology and strategy, but the void swarm was learning. Sarah watched with growing concern as enemy ships began to coordinate their adaptations, sharing information across the fleet to develop countermeasures more quickly. The combined tactics were working, but they wouldn't work forever. "Captain," Dr. Vasquez called out, "I'm detecting something unusual. The void swarm ships are beginning to merge with each other. They're forming larger, more complex units." Sarah looked at the tactical display and saw that the enemy fleet was indeed changing. Individual ships were combining into massive constructs that dwarfed even the largest human industrial vessels. These new superships bristled with weapons and armor adapted to resist both Alliance energy weapons and human industrial tools. "Admiral," she said to Crix, "we need a new strategy. The enemy is adapting faster than we can change tactics." Admiral Crix's multiple arms gestured in frustration. "Captain, we have used every weapon in our arsenal. If the void swarm continues to adapt, we will be overwhelmed." Engineer Torres's voice came through the communication system with sudden urgency. "Captain, I have an idea. What if we don't fight them directly? What if we use our industrial equipment for its original purpose?" Sarah frowned. "Explain. The void swarm ships are made of processed matter, right? Metal, composites, exotic materials. Well, we're miners. We don't just break things apart. We process them. What if we use our refining equipment to turn their ships back into raw materials?" The final gambit. Sarah stared at the tactical display, understanding dawning on her face. "Torres, you brilliant maniac. Can the refining systems handle those energy signatures? The molecular disassemblers are designed to process exotic matter, Captain. If we can get close enough, we can literally unmake their ships at the atomic level." Admiral Crix's compound eyes focused on Sarah with intense interest. "Captain, what is your engineer proposing?" "Admiral, our mining ships don't just break apart asteroids. They process them completely. We have molecular disassemblers that can reduce any matter to its component atoms. If we can get close enough to the void swarm superships, we can literally dissolve them." Commander Vel's energy form flickered with amazement. "You want to mine the enemy fleet?" "Exactly," Sarah replied. "The void swarm has never encountered this type of attack because no one has ever thought to use industrial processing equipment as a weapon. They can't adapt to something they don't understand. The plan was audacious and dangerous. The mining ships would have to get extremely close to the enemy superships. Close enough for the molecular disassemblers to be effective. The Alliance fleet would provide cover, using their weapons to distract the enemy while the human ships closed the distance. "All ships, this is Captain Chen," Sarah announced over the fleet communication system. "We're going to try something that's never been attempted before. Human industrial vessels will close with the enemy's superships and use processing equipment to disassemble them. Alliance ships will provide cover fire and distraction." The mining fleet moved forward with grim determination. Torres coordinated the attack from Titan's hammer, while Sarah watched from the Alliance command center. The massive industrial ships absorbed enormous amounts of enemy fire as they closed the distance. Their heavy armor plating, designed to withstand asteroid impacts, holding up against void swarm weapons. "Molecular disassemblers, ready," Torres reported, beginning processing operations. The molecular disassemblers were invisible to the naked eye, but their effects were immediately apparent. The massive void swarm superships began to simply fade away, their hulls dissolving into clouds of component atoms. The enemy vessels tried to retreat, but the processing equipment worked faster than they could move. "Incredible," Admiral Crix breathed. "They are literally unmaking the enemy fleet." Within minutes, the void swarm superships were reduced to harmless clouds of gas and free-floating atoms. The remaining enemy vessels, suddenly faced with a threat they could not understand or adapt to, began to retreat toward hyperspace. "Let them go," Sarah ordered. "They'll report back to the main void swarm collective, but they won't know how to prepare for this type of attack." The new alliance, the aftermath of the battle, brought unexpected changes to the galactic political landscape. The Alliance Council, faced with the undeniable evidence of human effectiveness against the Void Swarm, was forced to reconsider their ban on Earth's industrial fleet. The elegant chambers of the Alliance Station buzzed with heated debates about humanity's role in galactic defense. Sarah found herself back in the council chambers, but this time the atmosphere was different. Instead of fear and suspicion, she saw respect and curiosity in the eyes of the alien representatives. The demonstration of human industrial technology had proven that Earth's approach to warfare was not just different, but potentially decisive. "Captain Chen," the council speaker began, "the events of the past few days have forced us to reconsider our position regarding Earth's role in galactic defense. Your industrial fleet has proven effective against the Void Swarm in ways that our conventional weapons cannot match." Admiral Crix stood up from his section. "Honored Council, I must admit that my initial assessment of human capabilities was incorrect. Their technology is not more dangerous than ours. It is simply different. They approach warfare from an industrial perspective, while we approach it from a military one. Both perspectives have value." Commander Vell added, "The humans have shown us that the same tools used for construction and creation can be adapted for defense.